Hi everyone, and welcome. This is going to be our weightlift project overview. In this video, what I'm going to be doing is going over some of the requirements of that are also written out for you, but also the parent constraint and just kind of going over what I'm requiring for you guys. So now you have already read, hopefully, the requirements in the write-up. I want you guys to record your own reference materials. That could be through a cell phone, a webcam, a video camera, however it is that you can get a video of yourself acting out a weight lift. This needs to be a heavy box, and as you can see right here, the box is going to be about a little bit above the kneecap. So I'm sure you have something in your house or around that is going to resemble that. This needs to be a heavy object, and I want you to be thinking about the anticipation. I want your character to be reacting to the thought that they have to pick up this heavy box. I want them to kind of brace themselves before they start to lift. I want to show that struggle of that heavy weight as they pull that upwards. And I also want that box to be going to about this height right here. So those are going to be the requirements on how that lifts. You need to be able to tell a story here. And by story, I mean this character, I don't want just to show up, do this, pick it up, and then end. I want beginning, middle, and end. So the beginning would be this character looking at the box. The second thing would be the lift, and then the final part, the ending, would be the box being put down or thrown or put on the back of a moving truck. However you want to end this is going to be totally up to you, but it needs to have beginning, middle, and end. In no way, shape, or form should this just be from frame 1 to frame 120. This should be at least 4 seconds long, and it should have really nice detailed and clean animation here. Everything should be feeling smooth and not just knocked out in 2 seconds. We need to develop like an entire performance. So with that being said, let me just go over some of the ideas here for our model. Now, I'm going to pose this really quickly. So I'm going to turn on my auto key here. And remember that I'm not actually acting out the performance right here. I'm just kind of demonstrating right here the parent constraint. So I'm going to have this character to engage my auto key. I'll hit the S. I'll move maybe forward a little bit here. Have him bend down and leaning over a little bit here. And so now he's just doing this. So I'm not showing anticipation or anything for the sake of time here. I'm just trying to block out the idea of this character starting in one pose and then lifting our object. So I have the character, arms are down, maybe as it goes to around here, arms will move forward. And then this one, I'll set a keyframe before that and have it move to there. And then same thing with the other side, setting a keyframe. And I'm butchering this as an actual performance. I'm just quickly getting ourselves set up so I can have this character lift the box. So just quickly placing some keyframes down here. So as this character gets in the frame, let me make sure that I can actually play that and see how fast that's going. Okay, so he's getting into position. What I want you to be cognizant of as you animate is where your camera is going to be. Don't just keep a perspective here. Go into a create, and we can go to cameras with aim, and now I can adjust this. I'm going to go into my double view here and have one of those set up in camera perspective so that way I can see what the framing of this animation is going to do for me. So this is just a helpful way for me to actually get to frame that action. So if this is where my camera is going to be, that means that my hand right here, that's probably the one I want to use for a parent constraint and not this one over here. Why I'm saying that is because parent constraints, what a parent constraint basically does for us is it allows for the position of one object to control the position of another one. So same way as you would have a parent when you hit P from one object to another. So like let's say that I had this sphere and then I had another sphere. If I select this one and then hold down shift, select that one and hit P, if I move this one around, this is the parent and that's the child, right? So this child, doesn't matter where that one goes, but if this one goes somewhere, that one has to follow. So this allows for us to set that up for animation. And it's not a hard thing to do. We just need to make sure that we are in our animation drop down. So we're going to select that one right here. I know I'm butchering titles. It's late as I record this. So, but this is where we need to be. And my constraint, I'm going to use parent. But to do that first, I'm going to make sure I have everything locked down to where I need that to be. And again, I really hope you guys are in your second semester of animation at this point. You're not just knocking out a couple frames here. You're really giving some time to figure out where these actions need to occur and what the body positions are and the shape and form of our character. You're not just literally knocking out a couple keyframes. So let's say that I am going to have this character at maybe around 25 pick up this box. So if that's the case, then I'm going to get this thing in position as much as I can. So it looks like he's going to be picking up that box. So I'm going to set a keyframe here. I'm going to back that up a little bit so maybe his hands are out first. And so that'll get to here. That's looking good. And then now, if he's going to lift this up, if he lifts this up over here, that would be a light box. It would be empty, right? So if he tried to pick this up at this edge, then that means that that box is very lightweight because he's able to do that on a corner. If this was a heavy box, then his entire body would need to basically cup that box. And obviously, as we see right now, these legs are not in position to do that. So I need to figure out how do I animate these legs so that way, A, they don't intersect, but also B, don't look like they're breaking in half. Remember, and this was something I noticed for a lot of you when you were blocking out your scene for one of our earlier projects, you weren't taking advantage of, let's see if we can get them to show up right now. Here they are. These things. Oops. Let's see if we can get that to work. Okay, so those are our knee controls, and that's just going to allow for us to roll that knee. And so when this guy goes down, or gal, whatever this character is going to be for you, we can control where that knee is going to go. Again, right now I have an X-ray, so I'm going to turn that off. That's not human. We don't want to go beyond what the normals of a regular human would be able to do, because we're going to see that and immediately say, oh, I can't believe, oh, they must have broke their legs, or maybe they're double jointed, or I don't know, there's a really terrible alien movie with Charlie Sheen where this boy's legs bend backwards and he's actually an alien. It's at the end. It's terrible. We don't want to reenact that. So we want to try and make a natural action and a natural looking position for our legs. So obviously we want to probably position this character, spread their legs out a little bit more before they step down and then pick up. But that's beyond where I was meaning to go. We're just trying to get that parent constraint to work. So let's say that this character did move to this position right here. I'm going to move back a little bit more so that way he's not intersecting that bad. Ignore what's going on back there. Let's say I like that, and that's where I'm going to go. Let me delete this key so it doesn't look like he's wiggling that much. Okay, so he's right here. I'm going to move him down a little bit more. Okay, So let's say that this is okay. He's intersecting right there. I don't want that to occur too, so I can use things like my clavicle, and I can use my arm rotations to fix that. I'm not really going to worry about it right now. I could block that out and change that later. But for now, I'm going to go into here and I'm going to use a control to allow for me to, a constraint to allow for me to be able to have this thing lift up. Now, what you use for your parent constraint for these controls is important. If I were to use a parent constraint over here, and I constrain that to my box, wherever this goes, that's going to move. So that might be weird if the hands are moving somewhere, and that elbow's keeping that moving in the same direction, but this hand moves and the box doesn't move. That might look really weird. So we need to figure out an area that's that makes sense the most for our parent constraint. And for where this would be, I highly recommend the palm. So this palm, if I select that and I select a box, if I go to constrain parent and I make sure I go to this little checkbox, I want to maintain offset. Maintain offset isn't going to make this fly around. If I turn this off and I hit apply, it's going to do this. So I know you're going to do this. You're going to send me an email. Why did this happen? Well, it's because maintain offset wasn't on. If I do that again and then hit apply, it's not moving. And now, if I were to take this character and if I move him up, so let's say at frame 40 he's up like this. Do as I say, not as I do. Obviously, this isn't a good performance. This hurts my soul. This is just me showing you parent constraints. I know that I've said this like 19 times in this video, but you know, please realize that when I grade these things, I don't want to see just this really cheesy animation. I want to see thought process in there. So he's standing up and he's got this box. That's cool. Problem is, he's also standing up and he has this box. So what is going on here? Well, the parent constraint is on, not at frame 30, it's just on. It needs help. So we need to tell it how to turn on and off when we need it. Always animate where we want it to be first, constrain, and then let's select the box. And all of a sudden, underneath the box, we have this right here. This is the constraint. Right now, 1, it means it's on. So if it's on right now, I'm just going to key that frame. So right click, key selected. That means at frame 30 it's on. Let's go back in time to frame 29 and turn it off. And now he's able to get to here and then pick it up. So that's the beauty of a parent constraint. Also, this is wrong for so many reasons, but mainly the weighting of it. If this person's going to stand up and lift this box, this is not a heavy box again. Center of gravity, if this is heavy, what would happen if this character tried to pick this up like that? He'd fall over because it would be heavy. So I want to show you to show me that this character is reacting to the weight of this box. So now that that's going on, what I want us to be able to do is to bring that box closer for an embrace. So maybe once that's lifted up, I can, wrong control, lift that forward, as in getting this box closer to the chest. So now again, I told you guys to think about which arm you want to constrain. You can't constrain both of those. Well, there's technically ways to do certain things, but we want to really focus on one parent constraint on this thing. This is how we'll be doing that. So if I'm saying I'm going to shoot from this side, we're really looking at this. We're not looking over here. We can fake that contact is going on, and the camera wouldn't know because we're not showing it. So that's kind of the easy cheesy way to do that, where we can set this up. Once we have all of our primary animations going on with the parent constraint attached to one hand, we can then go through later on and animate where this second hand needs to be for all of our other frames. And remember, if this is a heavy box, like I've said, when he goes up, this should be he should be leaning backwards to make that look a lot more like there's some strain on that. So this is how we're going to set this up. I want you to, after this has occurred, so the lift has happened, I want you to show me something happening at the end. So does the character throw the box? Do they fall over because it's too heavy? All sorts of fun things you can do. This is where your creativity comes in play. This is mandatory. I don't want you guys skipping this out. And again, I can't say this enough. I am looking for a character performance. You're going to record yourself acting this out, and you're going to make that happen. I don't want it to be just like a robot picking up a box and that's it. I want to see struggle. Look at references of other animations of weightlifts. This is a very common project. Look at what weightlifters do when they are about to pick up a heavy object. They brace, they anticipate the weight, and then they lift. And notice how the lifting occurs. Does it start in the head? Does it start in the legs? Does it start in the shoulders? Where is it that lift starts? Where do we see all of that energy and that struggle occur in the body? What shapes is the body making when it is performing this action? So think about all these things when you're making that. This is important. That's going to be it for this quick demo. Again, you can always reach me, sending me an email, or use our Discord channel. But that is it. Have a good day.